Welcome, everybody. It's nice to see you, and I know we're going to have some more people joining us as we go. I would like to briefly introduce you, because I don't want to take up too much of her time, to Miss Andrea Pierce, who's one of my new sheroes. She is a wonderful advocate for indigenous rights and particularly water rights and the environment, and she stays on top of it. And not only does she stay on top of it, she is quite the political and social activist and organizer. And so we couldn't have a better person to tell us what's happening with water and drinking rights and First Nation than Andrea. And I had the pleasure of going with her to Geneva, Switzerland, when we were presenting to the United Nations on unarmed civilian protection, and she got to tell everybody about what's happening in the state of Michigan, and people all around the world heard about what's happening and uncovered what could be easily hidden in the dark, as they say. So welcome to all, and especially to Miss Andrea Pierce.
Hello, ahi. Waso de kwe indigenous, wakanaka sing Odawa nadojaba, makwa nadodam. So that's just introducing myself in my language. I'm the Northern Lights woman. I'm from the tribe Little Traverse Bay Band of Odawa Indians, which is by Petoskey Harbor Springs, and I'm Bear Clan. And I also going to be talking about PFAS. So that's another issue that's recently in the last few years has become an important topic that we should all be watching out for and trying to advocate for legislation about this because it's really dangerous. You want to put on the...
You want me to put your PowerPoint up for you?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to put that over here.
I want to glad to meet everybody, and I'm so honored to be invited to come and speak.
Okay, now.
We're glad to have you.
All right, so now I do my, come on, share screen. And I don't think you have any video in this, do you?
No.
Okay. All right, so.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. So I'm going to start off talking about PFAS and how PFAS in a small town is impacting people. Like I said, I'm from Petoskey Harbor Springs area, which also includes right above there between Mackinac and Petoskey is Pelson, Michigan. That's where my family comes from and where we've been there for generations. We can go to the next screen.
Can you see it okay?
Yes, I was just letting people in.
Oh, I just shut my window so I could let them in. Okay, I'll let folks in and you keep going with your presentation. How's that?
All right, it works. So this here is my family, and it's important that you see this. This is my daughter. That's me on the left. That's at the Straits of Mackinac during a pipe out paddle up flotilla that we held. And the next picture is 4 generations, me, my daughter, my mother, my little grandson. Oh, this one is my mother. We can go on. We can do that. So that's my mother, and that's who I'm going to be talking a lot about because she got PFAS contamination, and it really impacted my family. So this is my mother a few years ago. She learned to make her first basket. My cousin taught her how, and she was all happy and excited. It was a family, her and I, my cousin. You can go to the next one. And we were teaching her about water protection, and this is when we did the hands across the water. And we had like different areas for holding hands across the different waters in Michigan. I think it was across the world, if I remember correctly. And, you know, we're always saying water is sacred and water is life. And it is until, you want to click the next one? until there's PFAS in your water. This is Pelson, Michigan, and that black line up there is the airport. It's a little town of about 1,000 people, and everybody on the left side of the Stimson Road has got PFAS contamination. That little purple block is where they found it. They discovered it there in 2018. There was a science fair, and the students at the high school tested water at the local Head Start and found high PFAS contamination. It was totally unexpected. They didn't know it was there. And my mother lived on that same block. So that was when we just found, we had been going to PFAS meetings down here, my friends and I, because we have it all across, I'm in Ypsilanti now. But all around here, there's PFAS contamination, and it's everywhere. It's not just from the airports, but which is a big part of it. Military bases used it a lot in the firefighting foam. We also have it in our dental floss. So when you're cleaning your teeth, chances are it's got PFAS. Pizza wrappers, the boxes are covered in PFAS so that the cheese doesn't stick anymore. And hamburger wrappers. It's just in everything. The pans, Teflon pans have PFAS in there. The Scotch Guard also has PFAS. So it's a forever chemical, but we're literally putting it on everything and everywhere. Anything you don't want something to stick or get wet, they're throwing PFAS in there. And that's what we need to work on changing. So that's that little town. There's about 1,000 people there. It's not even a town, it's a village. And the impact on this is just insane. Can you go to the next screen, please? So yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's population was 822 people in the 2010 census. It has the Pellston Regional Airport. It lays between the Maple River, which is where it's running through down to, now they're saying down by dam site end, but they're not 100%. They're still testing a lot. 57 households are impacted. Over 300 households are not. So the citizens that are not impacted don't want to pay for the municipal water. That's part of the problem, is that they're on well water. So that's just scary. That's our aquifers, our spring aquifers that we are so happy and proud of and love drinking fresh spring water. It's now contaminated with PFAS in a lot of areas. And the citizens don't want to pay for city water to come in. They're talking about they would either have to bring it in from Sheboygan or Mackinac because they wouldn't be able to bring it in from Harbor Springs or Petoskey. So that's where the issue is. They're trying to figure out now the cheapest, easiest way to supply fresh water to people. And it would require tax increases and new millages. You can go to the next screen. Next screen. Mary?
Yeah.
Can you go to the next?
I'm going through the screens.
Huh, that's weird. I don't see it.
I just went through the level of PFAS.
Okay, go back one, I think. We went to 2020. There we go. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't know why I didn't show it.
It's just a slow bandwidth, I'm sure.
Yeah. Gotcha. So here we're saying in January 30th, 2020, that about the Eagle received a freshwater future result from a resident in the neighborhood directly south of the Pellston Regional Airport. And it exceeded the proposed maximum contamination levels for PFAS and PFAS. So I want to ask a question, is how much PFAS do we really want in our water? Because I'm a big proponent of zero. See that? I don't think we should have any PFAS in our water. And they've done all kinds of tests now. They've been going through testing water every couple of months or so. It started off every couple of months, but now it's not. It's taking longer, further in between, as they're finding out that there's, they think it's going down, but it's a forever chemical, so it won't go away. It'll always have PFAS contamination. And a lot of it is, they're guessing could be from the well depth. Some people are impacted more than others. On that map I had showed, you saw red, yellow, and green. We think it's because how deep the wells were. The green ones probably are more than 100 feet, and the yellow ones are probably about 85, and then the red ones are probably less than that. So they're getting more of the contamination. So that's at least that's what Eagle is guessing. So that's what we're dealing with right there, is those high amounts. Can we go to the next one, please? Now, what Eagle had decided, in part is what they're calling them, is that they should have a contractor, a plumbing contractor, come in and install a household filter system. I highlighted it there, and provide replacement cartridges to the people with detectable levels of PFAS as a precautionary action. What they actually did was they did one under the counter filter in the kitchen, and that's it. They replace it, and you can get water. They have water on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday between the hours of 1 and 4. So you have to be there between those times. They pick up your water. They used to drop it off, but as the grants have run out, because you'd come home and there'd be a container, packages of water sitting there. And as the grants have gone away, that's no longer happening. Now you have to go and pick it up, which doesn't seem like much, but if you're working, I don't know how you're going to get there in time. I guess you have to make special arrangements with them and see if they will. It's at the fire department. My mom's boyfriend, he was 82, 83 when he was living up there when my mother was still alive. And he was 83 and he had knee operation, one of those replacements. So to get the water, he'd take the van, he'd drive it over there to the fire department. They'd come out and put it in because the grants are over now. And he'd have to drive it back home. Now, how do you get the thing out of your car and into your house? He was literally pulling it with his cane and up the ramp and into the house, through the little breezeway and into the not living room, but the dining room. And that's as far as the water got. It never got to the kitchen because it was just too hard for them. And that's how they were living. That is what happens when your land's in your property and you're paying taxes and it gets contaminated. That's what happens next. It is your burden to get your own water at that point.
Andrea, what does EAGLE stand for? GLES.
Environment of the Great Lakes.
It's a governmental agency.
Yeah, it's through state of Michigan. I should know that. I usually do.
Sorry for the pop quiz.
That is, see how close I was. Of course, it pulls up slowly. Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. That was it. I forgot energy. Okay, so we can go to the next screen. And Pelson's not the only place that has PFAS. We have over 200 sites listed in Michigan now that have PFAS. PFAS that has been tested for and found. And it's like all over the place. Like I said, any place there's an airport will have it. We have it out here at Willow Run. And there's a, let me see, we also got it by, what is that? Not Milan, the other one. Over there by Prout Lake. It's up there by 96 by the Ford plant. They have PFAS over there, and it comes through the Huron River and comes down here to our lakes over here. And they found out that we had PFAS out here in the two lakes. We got Fort Lake, and then there's also Belleville Lake. And what did they decide to do? Well, they decided it was in our best interest to have a water board contest right out here in our poison waters. I was so disgusted. And there's like, well, it won't affect you. And I'm like, how can it not affect you? I can't. We have signs out there. Oh, that's my family. We have signs out there saying that you can't eat the fish. Don't water. If you take your dog out into the water, you have to wash them. But we're supposed to have athletes come out here doing waterboard contests so we can make $15 a person. So I threatened to boycott them, and well, actually, I threatened to hold a big protest. And I contacted OSHA, Yucca, my senator, Debbie Dingle, my congresswoman, my House rep. I contacted the township supervisor and told her I will be protesting out front. I'll be calling up my friends and we'll be standing outside with signs as they pull in. So the best I could do is I got them to put in a shower so that when the people came out of the water, they knew they had to shower right then and there. But what I also did was I contacted all of their supporters and all of the people, the sponsors, and the water board place, and I sent them information that the water was contaminated. So I did the best I could as one person. So yeah, that's my family. Just about all of them, except for me, all live in Pellston. So this is how close this is affecting me. Is that my aunts, my uncles, my sisters, my brothers, my cousins live in Pellston, and they have contaminated water. This is how my family is now living. Now my mother, excuse me,
what Mexican restaurant is that?
It's one in Petoskey.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's right over there by Lowe's. So yeah, I think my mother's in this picture, and she's not here any longer. She got cancer from PFAS contamination, and she has left us. They had a very rare and aggressive form of cancer. It took her in like 9 months. So if you can go to the next screen, please. So I've joined the Great Lakes PFAS Action Network because it made sense. They're already working on it. Normally, if I can't find something, I build it, but they're already working on it. So I'm working with them. I'm helping them, or they're helping me. I found it when this group is the Great Lakes PFAS Action Network, glpan.org. They're awesome. They're part of the Ecology Center. And I was going to different town halls that as they were finding out about PFAS, we'd started going to them, my friends and I, and that was when I found this group. And like I said before, PFAS has impacted over 200 cities in Michigan. Can we go to the next screen? We are working on legislation that will help stop contamination, help protect us. Polluters pay. We should not be having to pay for our own water. Or our filters. It should be provided. They should have to pay for the cleanup or whatever it takes to fix the water. They need to do that, not us. We need to be able to provide safe water to impacted communities, including our elderly, at no extra cost. We need to prohibit the sale of PFAS products, all those ones I listed. I mean, why should we have to have PFAS in our dental floss? I mean, I just think that's horrendous. Like I said, anything that they could put it into, they did. We need to find better disposal methods. We have all those filters going into our landfills. So what's going to be the implication of that? Right? I mean, filters are helping, but it's not going to be our cure. Neither is the bottled water. We need to protect farmers affected by PFAS. There are farmers now that are, Eagle goes and asks if they can test their water. They're now saying no, because there's been enough farmers that got bit by that. They found PFAS and they can't sell their farms, not their farms, but their agriculture. They can't sell whatever they've grown on there. So small farmers are going out of business now because they said, yeah, you can test, but the farmer next door said no, and there's no proof they have PFAS. So now it's affecting. So it makes us we're in a lot of danger if our water and our ground has PFAS in it and we can't even test it because those farmers are afraid. So there's another way we're being and if it's in your water and you're eating, I mean, think about how, the photosynthesis goes, right? The sun shines down, the rain goes up, and then it keeps happening, right? It pulls the water up and it keeps going up, and then it comes down as rain and the clouds move. We're being impacted by this PFAS. We need to expand PFAS monitoring and testing. everything that we can do for this. We've got bills out there. I think I cover those next. Can we go to the next screen, please? And this
It
was
is the
part
next
of the,
screen.
oh, it is, sorry. They all look blue to me. And this is all part of the 2023-2024 legislative session when we had the big trifecta and was supposed to be, everything was supposed to be so great and wonderful. And yeah, we didn't get very many. Environmental bills did not go through. Legislators that were in the purple areas were terrified to pass anything that would not make them be able to win elections next year or this year. So it really impacted us. But those bills are still out there and we need to support them. So let me see. Protect and support PFAS impacted communities. There's more information on that. Prevent future PFAS contamination. That's a big thing because we really need to stop it from, we need to stop the products. We need to figure out a lot of the firefighting foam has been pulled and they're not using it. But I think a lot of places have been using it for testing still. Because when I talked to the president of Pellston, he said, oh, we haven't used that since like the 60s or the 70s. But I'm finding out that's not exactly true. They didn't use it in fires because they didn't have any, but when they're testing and training, they did. So it's still out there and it's still being used in a lot of different ways. But now that they're having to pull it, we're going to have to find better ways for fire to protect when we have fires there at the airport. So that's terrifying too. Can we go to the next screen? Here's a call to action. So, not Eagle, the PFAS, Great Lakes PFAS Action Network had this on their site. I checked it today and they would like everybody to call up to urge the new director, Phil Roos, to change the notification protocol when it comes to water contaminations. Residents need to know immediately if our water is suspected to be contaminated with PFAS or any other chemicals. We are counting on you to make public health your #1 priority. Thank you. Because we're finding out they may know about it and they're not exactly telling us right away. They're trying to do damage control first, trying to figure out, how they're going to handle it. What are they going to do? Blah, 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 blah. In the meantime, people are still being poisoned.
And Andrea, for folks on the call, I will have all this stuff on our website within a week. So they don't have to worry about writing stuff down or it'll be on the Pax Christi, Michigan website and they can get it from there.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. So
Next
my
slide.
big question is are you, go to the next screen. Oh, I think I made my time limit on that one. So the big question here is, are you willing to join the fight? We need to keep track, get your water tested, get your well water if you're on well water. They weren't testing that and because of the cost, but now there's a programs out there that Eagle and the state of Michigan will pay for water testing even on the well water. And like I said, that's all part of I hate to say it was part of the Republicans. They didn't want to cover that. If you weren't paying into the system, then you should pay to get your own water tested. And I think if you're being poisoned, you should know as soon as possible so that you can try to save yourself in some way, shape, or form. Mm. So that's where we're at. We're working, this group here, and we're trying to protect the Great Lakes, protect the citizens of Michigan, and protect Native communities. Okay. So we can move to the next topic. I made it by a minute. I'm kind of proud of myself. All right, so next one is we're going to also talk about is Line 5 pipeline in the Enbridge Tunnel project. These here are water protectors. We have Whitney Gravel. She's president of the Bay Mills Indian community. There's me, Andrea Pierce. Bob Lawrence, Dr. Bob Lawrencer. He's running again for District 1, for Congressional District 1 for Congress. He's trying to beat Jack Berkman. Surprisingly, he didn't do it last time. I don't know how. There's Dr. Martin Reinhardt. He's a water protector and he's an educator, great person. And then there's Dr. Kyle White. He's with the Citizens Band of Potawatomi. Oh, I should say Dr. Martin Reinhardt, Sault Ste. Marie tribe. And Dr. Kyle White is Citizens Band Potawatomi from Oklahoma. His lands were decimated by pipelines. And yeah, it's terrible out there. And he's been helping us and working with us and giving us insight to help fight. He's on the Biden's Federal Advisory Committee for Environmental Justice. And this whole group is just amazing people. So Line 5, in case don't know, is a 70-year-old pipeline under the Straits of Mackinac. Now, who would put a pipeline under the Straits of Mackinac? Enbridge. This pipeline puts 700 miles of Michigan coastline in danger and jeopardizes 20% of the world's fresh water. If that explodes, we're in trouble. We can go to the next one.
And that video will be on our website.
Yep, when you come in, when you came in, there was a video going. It was done by the master students of the SEAS program at University of Michigan. They created this video, which was very powerful. We were part of their master program, and it was really a learning experience. And this video highlights the Anishinaabek perspective of Line 5 in the tunnel. So I put a QR code up there. If you want to, you can watch it later. I guess it'll be up on the website, so yay. So we got this tunnel and Enbridge has decided that, we're making such a ruckus over this tunnel thing, over the pipeline, that their best decision was to put a tunnel underneath the Straits of Mackinac from one end to the other end, from like St. Ignace back to Mackinac. Now, this has never been done before, and it's never been done in our waters. We have tectonic platelets because we're a part of the icebergs and everything moving and all of that. It's still moving. That's why when you look out into our winter and to the waters and on the lakes and during the winter time, it's all crunked up and broken. A lot of that's from the platelets moving and the water crunching up against each other. And when it's ice, you see that picture I've got, this is the hardest time that it's going to be to clean that up or stop anything. How are we going to get the oil out under all of this ice? Some of those blocks there are taller than me, and I'm 6 foot. So we went saw them the blue ice one year up there. It was amazing. But my boyfriend was like climbing on top of it. It was just the craziest thing I ever saw. But that's the danger we're in. That in the drilling, they're talking about doing hydro drilling, which will like be putting all of this crap in methane and benzenite. Is that the one? Benzene into the waters. Because what are they going to do with it? They got to put all that through to drill it, and it's going to be pumping it right into our waters. Can we go to the next page? So when Dana Nessel was running for office, her and I talked, and she came up to the Pipe Out Paddle Up Flotilla. That was an event that we held. A lot of the pictures you see of kayaks and canoes in the water are from that event that we held. We held like 6 of them. We didn't do it last year because my mother had just passed away and I wasn't in the mood to do it. I was still healing. So, but Dana Nessel, she asked me to run for it, and I did win precinct delegate in my area. So that means I get to go to convention. So when I go to convention, we get to choose who runs for the governor, who runs for attorney general, and who runs for the secretary of state. That's where that's decided at. So she asked me to do it, and I did. And if you look on this picture there, you'll see I'm in there. They kept asking me they kept saying all the tall people in the back. So that's why I kind of turned away. I didn't really hear them. But when I went to this convention, I found out there was not a caucus in the Democratic Party that represented the Native American population in Michigan. They had caucuses for everything and everybody. Yemeni had one, Bangladesh, disability. And I'm not saying those groups should not have had them, but we should have been included. So at that point, I came home, and after the elections, we started our own caucus. Now we have the Anishinaabek Caucus in Michigan. So did anybody see me yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you can go to the next screen. Did it go?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see it yet. Okay, so there I am. I'm the one with the little purple arrow there in the front row. There it is. I got up to the front. They asked me to join them, so I did. It was really amazing when she got the nomination to become to run for Attorney General. I do think that was a really good choice for Michigan. I think she's really doing a lot of good work. So we can
Andrea,
go.
do you want to tell people what tribes make up the Anishinaabeg Caucus?
Oh, there's 12 tribes in Michigan. So we're trying to get all of the people, all the tribes represented. Currently, we don't have everybody represented, but we're trying. Everybody, you can join. Everybody can join our caucus. Our board, we would prefer to be Anishinaabeg because we have, things that affect us. But everybody is welcome to join us. We feel that as an oppressed minority, anything that makes our life better will definitely make everybody else's better. So here we go, is the cultural sacred site at the bottom of the Straits of Mackinac. Nobody except for Enbridge knew it was there. And Enbridge lied about it. They said it wasn't there. I was sitting at in my house one day during COVID, and my friend called me up and said, "Hey, would you like to see Line 5?" And that's always been a dream of mine because I don't trust anything that Enbridge has told us. Anything that they say, it turns out to be like a lie. If we ask a question, like, "Oh, was there a big anchor strike for 2 weeks, 3 weeks?" They'll say, "No, no, 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 no," until one of the reporters, I believe, breaks the story. And then we find out, oh, yes, it was a great big anchor strike in 2018 that almost decimated the Straits of Mackinac. You believe that? A freighter rode through for a week with their anchors down, which is against the law because this is a no anchor zone. And when they went through the straits, if that anchor had caught on to Line 5, that would have been it. It would have took it with it. But we discovered a sacred site there that's over 10,000 years old. You see those little dots on there? Those are big, huge rocks that were placed there. And our tribes have claimed it. The 12 tribes have all claimed it as a sacred site, a cultural sacred site. And we need to be able to keep that discovery. It's an important one. There's been another one that they found in over by Traverse City. And we have a similar to this on Beaver Island. So we have proof that this is what was used. We don't know if it was for hunting or if it was for for whatever ceremonial. We don't know yet. But having a tunnel going underneath this, there's a huge possibility our history will be destroyed. With all that shaking and digging and drilling and destroying of the water. We won't be able to study this yet. Okay, we can go to the next one. Shortly after that, I think it was in 2021, Governor Whitmer pulled the lease and the easement for Enbridge. So now Enbridge is currently, to this day, operating illegally. And my question is, why is this allowed? Why hasn't the National Guard been called in to remove them? If you're evicted, what happens to you? Your stuff's thrown out into the street. No, they're still pumping it. They're pumping it and making profit. We held they're up at the Straits of Mackinac in May was when she pulled the easement in November, but it took like to May to go through. So in May, they had a big celebration at the Straits of Mackinac where thousands of people came, mostly predominantly Native American. They even came from Wisconsin and Minnesota because they're also part of this fight. They're trying to rebuild their pipelines through the other Native territories in those other states. So this is turning out to be a bigger fight than we realized, but one that we have to fight this. So this was a solidarity with the event that was going on up in Mackinac. This is all held in Detroit in Kemeny Park, 48217. This is across the street is where Enbridge pipeline comes through, and it stops at the Marathon station, and then it goes across to Sarnia, and then they export a lot of that to China. So we don't get this, okay? We use like 5 to 10% if, is what the estimate is. The Pipeline Safety Advisory Committee determined that. And so this isn't for us. We're not getting it. We're not benefiting. All we're doing is taking the risk.
So Andrea, if this goes through Sarnia, does that mean there's a tunnel or pipeline like under the Blue Water Bridge?
Most likely. I know there's, yeah. Oh yeah, and that's over there, that side, Erie and Huron are in danger too because of Fermi. All those algae spills and the red algae and the green algae. Yeah, there's a lot going on there too. Yeah. So Governor Whitmer did that, and Dana Nessel sued Enbridge for the state of Michigan, and Governor Whitmer sued for the people, unless I got it backwards. I think Governor Whitmer sued for the state of Michigan, and Dana Nessel sued Enbridge for the people of Michigan. That's how it went. To have them removed, to shut down. They haven't yet done it yet. I don't know why. I mean, there's been some. I know there was a question in the chat about them about studying it now. They've been down there a little bit, but they're having trouble. They're looking for an archaeologist that will represent Native rights, and that's been an issue.
Wow. That's willing to dive in that water, because it's not easy water either.
No, it's two different lakes. Okay, so we can go to the next one. So yeah, Line 5 has been operating illegally since May of 2021. Why is this allowed? They are now evicted and trespassing on Michigan land, the state of Michigan. And that's when 2021 was, because it was in November of 2020 when they got served and then went into effect. It's not just immediately. So they're operating illegally in our state. They are trespassing. And that's going to be important to remember later on. But we're not done with the story of Enbridge. And yeah, Kalamazoo, Line 6B, that exploded. And I don't know if everybody saw it in the video, but they kept pushing it out more. They did not follow their policy or protocols that stated if if the gauges weren't acting right or were showing we're not operating in the proper way, they would shut it down. No, they pushed it out more for like 17 hours. And people were gathering Dawn dish soap and cleaning supplies. Enbridge came in, put a big old fence around it, said nobody's allowed in. They took care of that because we have no say. Enbridge determined they were done. They paid their fines and they're done with it. Ottawa Seppies, they spent a lot of money cleaning that water, Kalamazoo on there, that's their tribal lands, and they got no recompense from that, not from the state of Michigan or from Enbridge. They did the bare minimum, and we have no say over. The state of Michigan does not determine when that's clean. Enbridge determines, oh, we've done enough. They could walk in and throw a couple of bounties down and call it done. We have no say. We have no control over any of it. We can't tell them. We can't complain about when was the last time you checked this pipeline? You see all those little barriers coming up saying, Enbridge gas. You have no control over that unless you smell something. And there a lot of them now, they're trying to get the smell put out of those pipelines because Canada doesn't want to have to pay to take the egg smell out. So they're willing to put us in jeopardy. Scary stuff. And it's all true. You can Google all of this. Okay, can we go to the next one? So what would you do if you're operating illegally and trying to be forced to leave, they actually, Canada evoked their treaty with the US in dispute over the Line 5 pipeline. I guess there's a treaty from 1977. So Canada is evoking their treaty rights, and that's over the Michigan Constitution, which states that the Great Lakes must be protected, and over tribal treaties, and especially the Washington Treaty of 1836, which guarantees Native Americans the right to hunt, fish, and gather. Can't do any of that in poison water, can you?
Mm-mm.
So they've got their own, and this is from Al Jazeera. You hear a lot better news from them. But it's just disgusting what this corporation is. They're just literally forcing us against our will, against our state, to have a pipeline in a tunnel because they want to continue the pipeline while they're building the tunnel. So at least 7 to 10 years on a 70-year-old pipeline now wasn't supposed to have lasted over 50 years, which should never have been built in the Straits of Mackinac. You can go to the next one. Okay. October 18th, 2023, Attorney General Nessel is filing to shut down Line 5. So she files in Federal Court of Appeals asking for an emergency shutdown. And this one here is for the Bad River. She joined theirs. And we have ours already. And our Attorney General joined with the Bad River tribe, who's also fighting the reconstruction of of the pipeline. And they've had so many fights in that. That's another one you need to watch. It's coming down through through Minnesota to Wisconsin and through the UP and down through Straits of Mackinac, down to Detroit and out to Sarnia. Over 700 miles of coastline is in danger.
Mm.
Okay, we can go to the next one. So here's what happened. In less than 24 hours notice, now we have been going to the MPSC. Did it flip? There we go. We have been going to the MPSC.
What does that stand for? Michigan
Public Service Commission.
Okay.
That's not what I call them normally, though. They are on my bad side now. They gave less than 24 hours notice for a public meeting. Now, we have been going to meetings with them for like a couple of years now about the tunnel. We don't want a tunnel. We want them to shut down Line 5, and we don't want the tunnel. No new fossil fuels. We are moving towards renewables. Why are we going to have this? Will be a stranded asset that Michigan ratepayers will be paying for. This $50 million tunnel will be MPSC will be approving a bill or a permit request for us to pay for it through DTE and through Consumers Power. That's how they pay for all of their pipelines. If you go back and through and check on the Michigan Public Service Commission, we paid for the Rover pipeline, we paid for the Nexus pipeline, and a whole bunch of other ones. Anytime the Enbridge needs something done, we pay for it. This will be a stranded asset. They said in 99 years, we get to keep it. Yay. That was sarcasm. So MPSC did vote to permit. Oh, she must have got knocked off. She was on earlier.
I'll let her in. Go ahead.
Okay. MPSC did vote to approve the permitting for Enbridge to locate the Line 5 tunnel in the Straits of Michigan, or Straits of Mackinac. Now, think about that. We've already determined that they're operating illegal and they're trespassing. So why is a state of Michigan, and we have no say over anything that they do. So why is the state of Michigan, the Public Service Commission, determining that this is the best move for Michigan? So when they made this decision, they ignored Michigan citizens, tribal citizens. 20,000 public comments were made from people who did not want this. They had science in there. People talked about, the scientific ways of how this is a bad decision. Our Democratic platform, like I said, we were at convention. We passed resolutions, states we don't want Line 5, and we do not want the tunnel, and we do not want new fossil fuels. Governor Whitmer, who has stood against the tunnel and who has stood against Line 5, she appointed these people. And her platform has been shut down Line 5, no tunnel, and they voted against us, everybody. So I'm asking that people call Governor Whitmer at 517-335-7858 and ask her to remove them from the MPSC. You appointed them, take them away. They are not protecting, they did not do their job to protect the Great Lakes. Simple. Their job is to protect the Great Lakes, and they did not follow the Michigan Constitution. They have decided that this was the best decision for Michigan, was a stranded asset. And until then, keeping that pipeline running, which every day is putting our water in jeopardy. Can we go to the next one? Oh yeah, you have to, and you can say case number U20763. That's the pipe, that's the tunnel project. Okay. Mine didn't come up either. Okay. So there were appeals. A lot of environmental organizations are appealing, but so are Michigan tribes. Because we have too much to lose. When we lose our culture, when we lose our hunting, gathering, and fishing rights, that means we lose our culture. We are people who take care of the water, we take care of the land, and we fish. We fish traditionally. We teach our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. That's part of our heritage, it's part of our teachings, it's part of our traditions. And that's part of why we are fighting so hard. So the Michigan Court of Appeals will be hearing their arguments because federally they said it's not their fight. So when that comes up, it should be in Lansing, and everybody needs to go. We need to go there and let them know that we are watching them. They'll probably put it on Zoom. We need to have that full. And we did with the MPSC meeting. We had less than 24 hours notice. We filled up 3 rooms in their Zoom. We showed up. And we made comments, and they voted for it, and then we made comments. They didn't even give us a say at that point. So that's just what we're dealing with. It was already decided before we even got to speak. Okay, we can go to the next one. So I'm also asking that you contact your representatives in Congress and demand that they tell President Biden to shut down Line 5 and no new fossil fuels, no tunnel. He can do this with a presidential executive order. And it would end it all. They'd be pulling that out. We'd have our labor unions in there taking that out. Because we do not, see the picture? The pretty little fish? Those are zebra mussels on there. That eats away at the pipeline like they do on ships. And right now they've been putting like braces down to keep it from moving, which is the worst thing because now it moves differently. It changes the flow and how it works. Because Lake Michigan flows up and down and Huron goes left and right. So we need it to move. And what they're bracing it closer is actually putting it in more danger. They tried to tell us it was safer, but there's not. It's another big lie. And Oil and Water Don't Mix has a form on their website that you can fill out if you need it. They have a lot of information. As does the AnishinaabekCaucus.org website. But they have Oil and Water Don't Mix has a form on there going right straight to President Biden. So you can send that to him or your rep and your reps. Okay, next page, please. Oh, there it is. I went too far. So here we go. Contact President Biden, urging him to support Governor Whitmer's Line 5 shutdown order. We're betting that if we can get Line 5 shut down, that the tunnel won't happen. Because that'll be a whole nother fight. And we're praying that that's what happens because they're counting on that extra money. And if we can prove we don't need it, and we really proved it during COVID. We really proved we didn't need it as much as what they said. So here we go. President Biden can revoke with a presidential permit for Enbridge's 70-year-old Line 5 crude oil pipeline that threatens the drinking water of 40 million Americans. Canada and big oil are mounting legal challenges to American laws that protect our water and investments that slow climate change. So yeah, that's part of that pay to play thing, right? Where DTE, Consumers Power, and Enbridge are like funding against people, the real people of Michigan.
Mm.
Okay, let's go to the next one. So to recap, contact your House reps and your senator to support the PFAS bills. I've labeled them on there. You can Google them up on michiganlegislator.org, I believe it is. And you can read them all. These are the ones that have made the House. They've been read once. They're supposed to have and have been assigned. They got assigned to the right committees, which is a good sign. A lot of times they'll put it in a bad committee and it won't go anywhere. Like these are in energy and environment. And a lot of times they'll put them like someplace stupid, like public housing or something, and they won't ever move. But these are in good spots and they've been read once. They need 3 readings. So we need to put pressure on our Michigan House reps and our senators. Call Governor Whitmer, ask her to remove the appointees from the MPSC as they are not doing their job. And their job is part of the Constitution, protect the Great Lakes. Contact your reps in Congress, demand that they tell President Biden to act, shut down Line 5 and no new fossil fuels. That's that tunnel. Contact President Biden, urge him to support Governor Whitmer's Line 5 shutdown order. Bring in the National Guard and our labor unions to shut down and remove that pipeline. And you can support indigenous water protectors like the Anishinaabek Caucus. And I guess another one will be keep an eye out for that when the Court of Appeals come, because that's going to be here. I don't know when, because January 2nd was the deadline. So everybody filed for then. So that's it. And I made it in my time frame with 3 minutes to spare. I think that's a record. So I had an hour to talk. So if anybody has questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, first of all, from me, thank you so much. It's so dense with information. I feel like I have to go back and like get all the information because I think the really important part of this is that I mean, for most of the people that come on this call, they really have that connection, that spiritual connection to the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to hurry so much through like, here's how we save it, that we don't get to hold it up. And I think I'm going to make sure that I recommend when I get up the Water is Life video on our website, I'll send it out on our listserv too, that people watch that because the impact on our souls is the part that we're not able to talk about with the time constraints. Bob, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I think I heard you say earlier, quite a bit earlier, Mary, that you will have all this information. So I didn't jot all those Senate bill numbers and phone
Right.
numbers for Whitmer
Yeah.
and so on down, but that'll be up on our PCM website in the next week or so. Correct?
Yep.
Good deal. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
That's
Mary I've given Mary all of, I gave her the PowerPoint so she can put the whole thing up there.
Mhm.
Or bits and pieces, whichever works best for you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do miss about, the water. I mean, we come from the water. We are part of the water. We need water to live, to survive. What happens when it's all poisoned? I think I covered that with my mother, really. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, I'm still dealing with the loss of my mother.
Yeah.
And I'm really mad about it. So I'm trying to focus this energy in a good way so that other families don't suffer like mine.
Is there a way to, how like when a house reaches a certain age, or a business is designed by a famous architect or something, you can get like historical designation. Um, could there be a historical designation made for the sites under the water, which would then prevent any building on it?
Tribes, I believe, are working on it. MAGPRA, the Michigan Alliance for Preservation, Grave Preservation. I can't remember. It was MAGPRA. They are working on that. And the person that was really, really studying it the hardest and working the hardest recently passed away. So somebody else is having to pick that up. And we're hoping that they get that completed and see that. I keep telling them how important this is before the Army Corps of Engineers makes their determination. That's somebody else you can call, Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
We need a big the full easement study. They're talking about taking a shortcut. So yeah, a lot of information. If you're looking for more information, like I said, you can check out Oil and Water Don't Mix. You can also check out the Anishinaabek Caucus. We have information on that. We have been, I know I've been fighting this for at least a decade now. So yeah, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. When they voted for the tunnel, that was like just horrible. I mean, we thought we had that one because it made no sense. Business-wise, it makes no sense. Traditionally, it makes no sense. When you think about the Michigan Constitution and protecting the Great Lakes, no sense. The science behind this. So we were really surprised when Governor Whitmer's appointees went against us. Yeah, there we go. Oil and Water Don't Mix.org. Don't forget the caucus one too.
Yeah, I'm Googling.
Okay. Yeah, it's just really horrible. And we're fighting it. We're fighting it because if they do that hydro drilling, that's going to bring earthquakes. That's what happens when they hydro drill. That's what happens in Oklahoma, and they don't have the water that we have, in other states. So it's really right now we're in a very dire spot, and we need everybody that can to step up and help fight. Show up to court, send in letters, send in emails, whatever you have to do. Now we don't deal with the MPSC. Now we have to deal with the MSCA, the Michigan and Straits Corridor Authority, which was put in place for the tunnel. This is a new organization, a new one. So when they post their meetings, and their first one that we went to was less than 24 hours notice, and we still filled the room. They're trying to make them in Detroit. MPSC was in Lansing, so everybody had to race to Lansing. And then the MSCA is part of the Department of Transportation, so they're in Detroit. So everybody has to run to Detroit. So in less than 24 hours notice, a lot of people were upset. But we filled up the room and we filled up their Zoom. And that's what we got to do, keep showing up. Let people know that we're watching.
Yeah. I think
And
one of the
elections
things
are coming.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the important things that you mentioned to me earlier before people got on was that, like, when I saw a while ago the Anishinaabek Caucus, when I first started working with you, I was hesitant to know if I should like join something like that because I'm not native, but I'm definitely a supporter of First Nations and their rights and what you're fighting for. Clean air, fresh water, the
Women.
treaties that have been in place forever. But you said that the Anishinaabe Caucus welcomes us as allies.
Yes. Yes.
So
We are less than 1% of the population. We can't win these fights without allies. And
that's an important.
It is. And as I said earlier, being an oppressed minority, if we are doing better, everybody is doing better. Everybody will have clean water, the land will be better. That's what we fight for. Our children will be happy and healthier. Our women will be safer, because that's another thing that happens is missing and murdered indigenous people. I don't know if people have heard about that. Stop Our Stolen Sisters. Enbridge has man camps. They bring in people from all over the country to come and work on these pipelines and now the tunnel. And It's dangerous. They have human sexual trafficking happening. And you can Google this. It happened in Minnesota just last year, I believe it was. They had a sting operation and found human sexual trafficking from Enbridge employees. Do I want that coming on my lands with my family at? No. Do I want that with anybody's family? No. You know, people disappear and we don't know why. Well, now we're finding out it's this human sexual trafficking. And they always say they're going to provide Michigan jobs. They don't. When they when they built the pipeline out here with us for Nexus in Ypsilanti, we checked the parking lot. I saw no cars from Michigan. The only car I saw was the one parked across the street at night, and it was the security guy who had to sit out in the middle of the winter in his car to protect the pipeline. That's the only Michigan job I saw. So it's not going to be the big boom that everybody is hoping for, Michigan jobs. No. It'll be Michigan citizens that are going to be paying the price with their lives because they're going to turn up missing and we're not going to know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And tribal citizens are Michigan citizens.
Yeah, we're the guests.
Any other questions?
I think you did a really good job of trying to get a lot of information in a really short period of time.
Yeah, that was hard. And I can talk about Enbridge and PFAS all day. Literally, I think I talked to you the whole trip.
But I think it's important that we know that this is going on and that that we ally with our indigenous brothers and sisters who, as you said, have been here long before and who think 7 generations into the future and need our support. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as Gloria said, it's like heavy information, but it's important to know. Yes, you know, it's like some of the workshops that we do tend to be more uplifting, but God, you can't make a difference if you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, you can't. You have to know what we're fighting against. And that's the only way I can do it is reach out to different groups and have you reach out to me. You know, I'm willing to speak to anybody about it because I'll walk into circles and I'll say, how many here know about Line 5? And there will be, or who don't know, who's never heard of Line 5, and there'll actually be hands up. And I'm like so shocked because it's like, I've talked to everybody. We've been fighting this. It's been on the news. But there's still people that don't, and they don't know that at any time right now, we can lose 20% of the world's fresh water right now is in danger and has been.
And I think about the money that has gone into advertising. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I know in Lansing, and maybe it's because of the capital. I don't know because I'm not driving around with my radio on everywhere in the state, but we've been getting all kinds of ads about Enbridge cares about the environment. And as they're doing the ads on the radio, they have the birds singing in the background and the sound of a babbling brook and that we're protectors of the environment. And it's like, wait a second, you know, that's not true. I mean, when you think about what happened in Kalamazoo, you know, so
it's not like this hasn't happened here before.
Right. Yeah. And people, so many people aren't aware. I see Rita's got her hand up.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to make a suggestion, Andrea, if you've probably got the link to that video that U of M did that shows the flow of oil spills, because it's really dramatic and
no, I can't find that one.
You know what? Okay, I'll try and find it and get it to you, and maybe you can get it on to Mary.
That would be great.
Yeah, that was by Dr. David Schwab.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's terrifying.
Yeah, but people need to see that,
right?
To really get it. Yeah. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, good idea.
Rita, thank you for that.
Yes, Dr. David Schwab did a video with NOAA where they put these little balloons all over.
Mhm.
And they like release some stuff out into the water and checked where it went. And depending on the day and the time, it can go over to Lake Michigan side. It can pass between Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. It can come down Huron side. It's different every time I look at it. And it's a scary video because it's based on science and fact. And this is really what could happen to our water. And like at one point, will you stop it? At one point, they did an oil spill drill. And they picked like a beautiful day in August or September, beginning of September. I think it was right after our pipe out paddle up one of the year. And I think it's the first year. And they did a spill drill where they brought the who was it? The Coast Guard, I believe, came out, and what would happen? How would we handle it if there was a spill right now? And in perfect weather, they could not stop it. They could not contain it to the point where we didn't lose all of our water.
Wow.
And from what I hear, their big plan is plywood boomers that are in like Indiana, so they have to ship them up here, right? The plywood, like you can't buy plywood at Home Depot, right? And they're going to put it on there and then contain it and then burn it off. The oil is what I was told. What's going to happen to the to Mackinac Island, for one? What's going to happen to all those fish and turtles? They didn't ask for this either. And that puts into jeopardy the Great Lakes. It puts in our treaty rights. So we're hoping we can fight this and win it. But they're hoping that, we got really powerful tribes that are really fighting hard. Nottawasepis are one of the tribes that appealed that decision with the tunnel. They're the ones that paid for the, that lost the money and was affected by the Kalamazoo oil spill, which was over 10 years ago.
Mm. Well, Andrea has agreed to keep me posted on when these hearings are going to be and how we can, show up. It just having your body in the room makes an impression on the legislators. So even if you're thinking, well, I wouldn't know what to say, or I wouldn't know, just being there makes a difference.
Yeah.
And so we can definitely put our bodies someplace in solidarity. And I just want to thank you so much for spending this evening with us and bringing this to our attention and helping us find a really tangible way of supporting First Nation efforts to protect our water and our land and our air. So thank you.
And thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Well, everybody have a good evening and be prepared for
There's some
snow.
links.
Oh, try these links. Oh, okay.
You go, Rita.
And I will make sure all this stuff is on our website.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Well, good night, all. And Andrea, I will hopefully talk to you soon.
Yep, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.